could hardly talk, could hardly function on my physical body. And I can't lie, because I'm going to quote who they are in statute law in the United Kingdom, and this is what's the reality is going on. My right side, I haven't called anybody yet because I know what happened. They say, oh, you need to be checked over by an ambulance, individuals. Because my neck and my right side, I had warned all past months, I'm losing my mobility in my right side now. And this caused extreme reduction in what I can do and not do. And it's come to a really serious situation now. So the past week, I have been trying to persevere as a strong-minded individual, and affecting my physical health and my gut health and my dental health, everything now is just, unfortunately, the physical body is a serious reduction. Well, I think I need an MOT. That's why I've subject on this stream as, they might even pixie out this stream. You might even not hear anything. And it's not my internet connection, by the way. I can see this device is flashing, so most probably it's pixied out. Unlawfully targeted by the unlawful due process in United Kingdom known as the Statute or Care Act, and I'm going to have to keep coughing and suckling and stopping and drinking because I had to cancel the offer home visit for dental infection over here. It's been up bay, but I can't keep forwarding certain natural health because of the situation financially I'm going through as well. So yeah, this is all combination. A lot of others similar to what I'm going through. I had a suspicion why 4 or 5 emails, no response. I'm not in the ability to photocopy a letter, to type in anything like that anymore. And all this was documented with the previous kind help or support of the individual. She wasn't ideal, but she was very good at what she was doing. And the previous Care Act advocate, a Voice Ability Limited, head office in Cambridgeshire, UK, and one's area. She left for some medical reasons during the period of time of the past year, going through this very complexity in the situation of care needs assessment. I didn't expect my physical reduction of my health to go the way it is, and my psychological well-being has been very well balanced. That's a very good thing, you know, with meditation and self-determination and my mum's DNA in me. But it doesn't help with practicalities. So I haven't been able to move on in personal life because I'm stuck in a stalemate, deadlock situation, where the offer contract by this local, it's been all in mainstream media, and the cutbacks and services is nothing new, but unfortunately, because one is seen as a tick box exercise on the computer by these certain individuals preventing offer services. I know what's behind it, and I won't go into all the details. I'll be here all day if I did, and I haven't got that. When you're bedbound, a lot of the time, more than you can imagine, out of the working week and the weekends, it's just extremely imitating, and I'm constantly so ill because I'm left 1 year, 9 months in unsafe conditions in my housing situation in social housing UK. It's not of my doing, by the way. So when you have an email from the housing side of your lawful rights statute law to raise a complaint, which I've done ages ago now, to get a remedy, and I have previously since July, August, up to October 2017, and leading up to all last year to date, to offer to move out temporary with all of my high care needs, disability equipment, to First it was a hotel up north that meets people's needs with my situation, and then they claimed they still need an update OT assessment, which I was confused about if any changes in statute law on that requirement, because my medical needs on equipment use of private NHS funded a lot of medical physical equipment has not changed. The only thing that's changed since I ended up in hospital, the serious situation of going back now February, which was witnessed by my daughter at the time, live on video. Oh, thank God she saw that, because I don't know what I'd done. But anyway, because of these sudden symptoms of a heart attack and the stroke all at once, the police had to bash my door in by common law, and the ambulance crew got to hospital, and I appreciate what they did. I got nothing against that, and eventually it took months to get the door repaired and the lock repaired, and all these period of time moving on to date, they just won't repair the wet room. And I've had all these occupational therapy reports. I've had so many ever since I got one over 2010 up to 2013. I've gone through the housing needs assessment process. I knew that might be a requirement, and I checked before I got reduction of my health towards the latter part of the end of the year last year to see what is available. Now, I had an individual that did strangely offer this application documentation of it's called assisted housing. Now, if that is a model housing, which now logically, practically I might need, I'll consider that. I know the implications of that, and it's not ideal, but I can't be stalemate. And I'm looking at my situation like anyone, perhaps, looking at the practical issues. So really, this isn't really geared up for the logical build-up design of this flat for my situation now. It's not, it doesn't, but where else can I move to in social housing? And then to get the right care and the financial side, the support on that I need as well at the moment, and the paperwork, and it's very complex. And when I'm constantly seen as complex, it's like I don't make nothing up, because the system in the United Kingdom has your information anyway, and intelligence-wise, the police, the NHS, all the civil servants, public services, they have your information anyway, and they have this protocol showing your data. Well, I've restricted a certain amount of data, but I haven't on others, so it's just said to assist me. So it's not me causing any problem, and I've just required the full disclosure, because I don't know anything else. This is your private dwelling. It's your private location in your natural name of rights and human rights and statute law as well. So, having a rude awakening the other day at 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning by civil servants, police. Well, I can't remember what I've done. Have I ever caused any injury, harm, loss to anybody? Have I made any video? Have I commented on somebody? If there's anything I've allegedly done, surely there have been an email which the police have got, and a phone number, because my late mum's brooch did get stolen off me. And that was Christmas Eve last year in the high street, and I've got evidence it was on my white coat, because my two private life friends have put it on my coat. So they made the presumption it wasn't there in the first place. Well, with a modern CCTV, the way it works, it's evidential. They just didn't want to be bothered. So fine. I haven't done the I haven't been able to do this particular disability type system card link up data share, because I haven't got the offer of these the original social worker, as I said, left her job, and the new one, well, she's working as a carer in a care home, and she's only been in a job a year, and she hasn't got the skills I needed, and she tried her best, didn't even have the care advocate present. whatever miscommunication going on, it wasn't my part, by the way, it was on that individual's part, and I was alone with her. So I've got a video of that to protect myself, because in a system, when you have complex disabilities like your class is a vulnerable adult, so they use the statutory law. Please bear with me when I'm talking bits by bits. I have to try and remember what I can. And when you experience a tort, which is like trauma, and all the best in the world, you try and remain positive, and just because you have a certain personal things happen to you as a kid, and you've got this medical evidence, the evidence because of what you experienced as a kid growing up all these years, and that's used against you. Excuse me, I'm emotional. And it's used against you in ways like you get labels. So post-traumatic stress is trauma-based. In my situation, then you have repeated traumas in your life. So when I had attempted murder in my life, and I survived all those many years ago, and before I become physically disabled, I have never been able to cope with that. I just, how the mind works, unfortunately, one is not able to face the effect of the trauma is so deep. And I have seen so many people over the years, psychologically wise, because of all that. And so you're labelled on the system as psychologically, whatever the system uses now. My past history is all because I has certain horrific things experienced as a kid, and the trauma related to that, and I've got evidence of all that. And my own family members, disrespect to them, they mean well in their own way. I've always treated me as an outcast, so I've got so much document reports and medical evidence of past to confirm the diagnosis that I've got in the state statutory system is all related to that, and then added on to the trauma of surviving and attempting your life and the circumstances surrounding that. Before it happened like that, I was not able to cope, so I went out politically doing stupid things. I know that now. At the time I didn't think it was stupid. I thought it was the right way to cope with everything. I wasn't coping. That was my way of coping with trauma, and it wasn't healthy. I know that now because I've had to self-learn meditation and self-learn and self-taught myself to overcome a lot of these chips on my shoulder I've had for years against the state, against the police, against public servants, against a lot of it. I was against anybody, basically, because that was the only way. I wasn't physically lashing out. I was just rejecting people because I couldn't cope with anybody close to me or any near me, strangers and stuff. It's still like that, not as bad. And it's a difficulty to engage in anything. And when it's like a trigger. And but I'm getting better, much better on a positive note, which is helpful, by self-persevering, learning from other people, learning by evidence based on fact on DSM Manual 5, and learning how these things of MK Ultra from history and how that can affect the brain sciences, and I'm learning a lot more, which is very extremely helpful, more than these social workers and other medical people can do, and that's given me the insight of my situation, and how I've never been offered any counselling on the bereavement of my mum, and I think it's because the way the referral was done for that by my local NHS public servants funded, the way this individual did a referral wasn't factual correct, and it was, I don't know how your terminology was, but for months ever since July last year, I was trying to get my medical records to find out how these online referrals were. I've since found a lot more out, and what should have done and what should have happened, and it didn't happen the correct way. So by trying to accept the fact now that she's moved on and she's out paying my late mum, and trying to bury the demons, you know, but we never really had a good relationship. But sometimes you have to bury the past, not bury it, but just to move on and try to learn to forgive those that transgress against you. And that's what my journey's been for past few months. It's been difficult, still it is, and but I'm getting there slowly, and it does take time to heal. So I know my age group now, I've got to look forward and move on, and the difficult thing for me, I don't know if anybody else might experience this, when you have to cut back the services and there's agendas going on politically, nationally, and all different angles, it's like it's not necessarily these ordinary men and women in the frontline services that are the fault. It's mainly management, it's the directors of services, it's CEOs of these companies, public, private, who have, looking at the financial implications of what is available, who can be offered what criteria they may meet, and I know I won't get any repairs, and I know they don't want me living it anymore, because if they really had a lawful indication to offer the full disclosure, for example, housing side, it's all, when you go through this complex and highly detailed, very personal statutory care assessment process, I am extremely very knowledgeable now on how the section 42 of that works, adult safeguarding, and I know the duty of care that these individuals have working for their companies and public private in the UK, and how it can be taken out of context. So I have the emails that were sent, and some on my behalf was done under duress, conditionally under duress, to remind the individuals involved that I'm awaiting the offer, completion, either way. And in statute law with NHS England funded services primary care as well, in the community as well, it's known as continuum of health care budget, in conjunction with the checklist system they use, goes through medical practitioner, district nurse, or also a social worker. Well, as they thought, the system of a social worker who hasn't responded, only met her once, and that was the 23rd of November 2018. And I was in the illusion that this care advocate, she would be there, she didn't, and I was completely disadvantaged by all that too. So ever since then, I've been rejected, and the director of a particular public sector services, Catherine, lady called Catherine, she means well. She's got business to run. She services, to do, and it's just business to them. Is it? They have a big budget. There's a lot of people like me to cover, and allegedly not enough public funds, and so it's all changes. I knew it would be coming this 2019 plus, but not to the extent where it seriously has an add-on effect onto other public sector funded services, so i.e. the NHS. I do not want to end up in a blinking hospital again with reduction in my physical health. But when you find out by other sources and their say about their mothers, elderly mothers who've ended up in hospital, and the only time they got care is when they ended up in hospital. So when you find out the new stream of linked up services and what that new process is all about as well, and single point of access, all these buzzwords, all this new is ordinary every average man or woman who doesn't even know about all this, let alone people in my situation, has to get their head around it all and learn what it's about and who's meant to be doing what. The information is not accessible. So that's when you find the duty of care to offer advocacy service to individuals that need the assistance to get their views across or requirements across in the manner they need to. And then you find out there's another statute law with the Mental Health Statutory New 2018 Act, and clauses in that where they're broadening the terms of disability, those with physical, psychological, learning disabilities, and the national care privatisation of these national chains of care homes. The statutory law claims the clauses and disability law service. There's a disabilityrights.org website, very informative on these angles and statute law in the UK, what is going on and how the serious implications of private liberty can be assumed by that employee care manager. So your rights will be restricted, your human rights will be restricted on the claim of this new replacement of the private liberty statutory law and of human rights. Or because it will save the public purse funds with those with high care needs. So I also was looking at the physical care aspect because there's also a national private company. I know the company well, because by another company, that's a maker of my other OT medical aid I have, and they come up with, the private CEO individual came up with a policy, I think it's about a year old. It was coming to statutory documentation to bring in the single point of access assessment or OT assessment process. That means those are high complex needs who have currently the need of 2 carers 7 days a week. That's a high care package cost, by the way, for the state. And if you can't afford your own care. And they're trying to get away reduction of that, reassess people's care packages and even just one carer. But if you have a medical equipment, because these are key questions I've found out since, why I was being asked, why do you need a hoist? And why do you need a sling? And I wondered why these key odd questions. There's nothing about my care needs assessment and my choices and outcomes in statutory law as well in contract law. It's all to do with what they can cut down and what they can get away with and not help. So, not surprised they haven't got back to me. So they've gone after the easy cases first and assessed them, and they've gone after those that already are being paid for care by the state system to see where they can cut back on funding. Cutbacks, that's what it says, preventing. So they prevented me. my lawful right, like anybody, to complete the original offer they started out with. And yeah, so that was going back when he ended up in hospital. They refused to even consider offer back on the September 2017 by 1st of what, can't remember the date, I think it's either, 3rd of the 10th 2017. By the 1st of June 2018 was the first, no, May was the first, 2018, first offer meeting. I had a paralegal individual I knew assist me in a couple of the meetings. Evidence of videos, photographs of how I'm left to live like, the risk I've been put at by this housing company, individuals in my area. And recently the evidence I've got, although representatives in my area gone over to behind me the public building, and behind the scenes could be completely different, but no, it's too much of a coincidental situation what's going on with me. Now, when I sought to use the mainstream local political individuals in my area, claim to assist the individuals that have put them into their political position and stated the facts what's going on in my situation, first-hand knowledge. Well, did I get anywhere? No, of course not. Because when they use your past against you, unlawfully, by the way, unrelated, it is called direct discrimination, and it's a breach of the civil servant code of office in their public role. And that certain other individual, I won't mention who she is, she's a cabinet member for adult health care in this area, and Conservative, political party, national and local representative. And she went, I've got the evidence, what was said about me on email, and I reported her, and yet nothing's got done. And that was that was beginning of November. So by the 6th of November, end of last year, 2018, I saw that Director of Adult Health, Northamptonshire County Council, and she'd, after months of, weeks and weeks, still October, during that summer and October, left with no offer of social worker. The cutbacks, delays, people on holiday and stuff like that. It's been never, ever, ever had a lawful, full offer, correct procedure of a statutory care act assessment, needs assessment at all, and the framework they're meant to use. Found that out the hard way. And so, yeah, to date, an email came. Miracle, because I don't know, some reason not getting me emails. And despite how many emails my friend sent to remind them periodically every 2 weeks, delay, what's going on? I like a confirmation, full disclosure that one is being, obviously put it this way, if you have certain unseen disabilities, and there's medical evidence to back this up on record, and one cannot cope with strangers on their own in their own home, then logically they're meant to respect your right to privacy and to make sure you get independent support in your home when you don't have your family network around at all, and you don't have your private life friends to assist on that situation. And that's what the previous social worker, before she left her job, had tried to assist. So one was going to be offered a certain other matter to sit in on a medical, and then to offer sit in on a OT assessment, and all that didn't happen because I didn't know she was about to leave a job in 2 weeks, and that left me without any support. And then this Voice Ability Limited individual claimed, we can't sit in on any medical or any OT assessment because that's not in the Statutory Care Act 2014 assessment process. Really? So what's the point of claiming since June last year, 2018, all this time, that that's required before I be offered any consideration of services by Northamptonshire County Council with its company, other company I won't mention, and without full disclosure of the terms and the grounds? And I found out, cut long story short, it wasn't just that. It was this national housing company, individuals who misled these civil servants in my area, and I'd counteract that, prove the evidence, what's behind it. And by the way, if there's a genuine offer to claim, or you can't live in your own secure tender in your own home, while repairs being offered, then surely, if it's legit, you would be offered a copy of a repair report of the claim that's being made that is unfit for purpose or something else in statute law and contract law. But all of that, 3 copies of these previous last year's, no, 2017 correction, has never materialised. So despite my efforts to get full disclosure of what's required and to negotiate with these individuals on behalf of these companies, nothing's materialised. So this is direct discrimination and a lawful breach of equality statute law as well in UK. So it's not just about Northamptonshire County Council, it's corporation, it's due process to follow which they breached, and individuals, key management level. You see, the protocols to follow, to use, is all about blocking access to services for people in my situation. Instead, if it's legit, they really wanted to help individuals like I to move on in the lawful process and safety, and making sure the individual's needs and rights are protected as well, then I would have got response by now. I would have had a lawful offer. And you see, instead what they do is look at your surroundings and assume assumptions that, oh, your private dwelling, this is your home is your private dwelling. There isn't any lawful authority of any man and woman, public or private companies, to assume presumption of any clarification in their statutory documentation. Whatever personal opinion they may make in their own capacity and their representative for that corporation, public or private funded in the United Kingdom, and that's was they're trying to imply. So I managed to counteract that with a requirement in the statutory documentation, 40 pages long, to provide advanced questions before offer any meetings. And when it covered the housing needs section, I looked at that angle of health and safety. I looked at fire safety. I looked at all these key elements, and I'd offered to move another, as I said, up north, a place that would cover, it's like a respite type facility, and hotel type, and the housing company offered previous emails to fund that, put my stuff in temporary storage, temporary decamp they call it, and sought clarification that I still have the secure tender lawful rights in my own home for all the so-called repairs, claiming it will only take a week. Well, as I said, when you learn certain subjects over the years, one is requiring the evidence of first-hand knowledge of 2 individuals I've never seen, never met, and just assumed that my so-called rec room needs to be redone. And if that's the case, why was I let to place that had a rotted flooring to start with in 2009? So it's been a cover-up, basically, allegedly, that they knew this place was not built to specification in the first place. So that's why it's been trying to get me moving out ever since. I moved in, and using other, I got evidence my previous family members, the letters they've done, where I've been constantly targeted in one way or the other. And I got videos, photographs, letters, evidence of what's been going on for so long in this environment. So, of course, if there's a better environment to move to. But yet, I would require, within both contract law and statutory law, the longer term, you know, I'm looking at practically working together with these individuals, representing all these changing cutbacks and services. I don't cut my nose off, so to speak, to spite my face. But I know all the able-bodied people who are working in my area are getting their repairs straight away. One individual upstairs above me today, when they are able-bodied and they do their own DIY. They make a mistake, they call somebody out to repair it, and they get it done. This is direct discrimination. And it's not just me, by the way, this is a bigger picture where if you've got high complex needs, joint, and they want to displace you into a large international and national well-known chain of care homes, or they call it the model, they're calling it this model, assisted living, where restriction of your rights. It's genocide, allegedly, by the back door of vulnerable disabled people, to save the public purse. So able-bodied, healthy able-bodied people, you know, oh, they're working age people, the next generation of people coming up in the United Kingdom. We don't need to go back in history, and that's what is allegedly happening. And where we're meant to be inclusive, equal rights, you know, European rights and Convention on Human Rights of disabled people, that has never been acknowledged by United Kingdom statutory services nationally. So I've always said this a while ago on this channel, if I had my physical health tomorrow, I would not be here. I would, if I had the ability and finance, I'd be off the grid living. And trying to get the compensation, what happened to me at 10th of my life still, all these years on, I still not got that. Even though I've been offered it and I've got the documentation to prove it. There's all the blinking red tape. So if I had that, I would have hired a private company to do the OT assessment, hired a private surveyor company to come and assess this repair situation, and independent reports, you know. And I would have got an independent psychological report, update one, of myself, privately and physically, an MOT, and I would have seen a private herbalist for natural health remedies to make me a batch of oils, essential oils, I like that, to help me heal my body. And I would have looked at to get a proper assessment and see if there are social workers that work privately, and hired them to do assessment on my situation. And that's what I would have used the funds for. But I'm not in that situation, because I really needed all that to move on. I haven't gone about crowdsource funding yet. So anyone listening to this and seeing this video, I think that's a good idea to think about crowdsourcing and set up a PayPal system I've never done before to raise funds to get independent assessments done. Then politely leave me a comment, because I'm not moving forward and I need to have a quality of life. With a little bit of life I may have left, I like to think it'd be a quality of life. So if they want this blinking place back, they can damn well have it. But I need to be in a safe environment, equality of rights, no breach of human rights, and learn new skills perhaps, and I get the right medical treatment I need for my dental ill health. It won't be great, the operation I need, but eventually it'll be done and I can start moving on with one's life. But when you're targeted constantly, 24 hours a day, bloody hell, The system, I mean by that, the system. The constant targeting, the constant nitpicking, the constant lack of response, this, that and the other going on. It's like a psychological aspect of trying to trigger off all the bloody time. And unfortunately, it doesn't help when you're trying to engage with people and they raise questions, and that's a trigger if you already have certain traumas in one's life. So yeah, the cheapest option for the state in UK, in my area, is for easy cases first. And then not retaining civil servants able to, because the funds aren't not there. They are there somewhere, offshore in perhaps somewhere else, who knows? Excuse me, who knows? But it is a tall order. And I swear to goodness, when you know certain subjects, you know what's going on, you have evidence of that firsthand, and you seek clarification, and you seek this and you seek that, and then you try and work with individuals. And the word they keep using, engage. Well, now I'm back to square one, where this individual care advocate employee, she is now not losing a job, she's moving on to pastors new. So I'm left back to square one without a support, independent support on that side. So these civil servants, individuals working in the public building behind me, they need to re-refer me. And that's going to take more delay. They don't get back to you on certain things, or ever since negligence, breach of duty of care, or originally already gone evidence that to what's known in Coventry head office, the adult health care ombudsman already reopened the case for previous things that's happened already to me in my own home, and I've got evidence of that. And then get an email saying it hasn't even been assigned to an employee to assess my complaint in statutory law for this, and added on. So this goes to show what people in my situation are going through. So yeah, in hindsight, I will be honourable, be lawful. I'm doing the right thing. I've got evidence base what's going on, and it's frustrating because I can't get the aftercare, the right care planning, unless I have this completion. If either way, is one going to be offered lawful offer goods and services or not? Because if it's a perceived needs, they have to do these statutory assessments and the way the lawful due process. But people, management level behind the scenes, I know who's doing it and who they're connected to. And I ain't going to quote who they are, but I know got the evidence. It's not just me saying things, I've got evidence. You have to, sometimes when you're dealing with situations and it gets complex, you need to keep a log, diary, and evidence saved on drive as well. And when you have private life friends, and the phone's going now, when you have private life friends, try to assist one. The reason why they cannot assist in situations I need has already gone through that all past year with individuals, condition under arrest, by the way. It's because they're right. And when you read this statutory documentation and watch videos on it, you're meant to be assessed like you don't have care. And yeah, when certain situations happen, and I know about things that's going on, observations, observer, as I'll call myself, that has implications onto your financial situation. And be aware, when unlawfully your private life or your character is being discredited without evidence, without first-hand knowledge, law based on hearsay, and that's getting out to third parties without your consent, And sometimes you don't know what's been said about you. And I don't give a monkey's what people think about me. I know me. And I know when you keep journals, you just keep things to fact. And just trust your gut feeling on things. So I know I've been dishonourable. But it's just ironic, isn't it, how things turn out. I will keep persevering, but one thing at a time, slowly. Because what they like to do is bombard you with so much, so you're overloaded and you just fall in. Just be careful, be observant, trust your gut instinct, believe in yourself. It's hard to do. Don't let all this... There's other subjects I know about, which I won't talk about anymore, and I'm just aware of certain things. But I will be honourable. I will just keep trying, and I will still try and get the full disclosure. And yes, it's all about design by unlawfully. Things happen in your life you can't predict unless you've got a crystal ball, and you just try and cope the best way you can and just be practical about things. Yeah, so I'm going to get off this stream. And for those that are going through a lot, if you're not religious, you don't have any belief, just trust your gut instinct. When things don't seem right, don't think too much, just keep a journal if you can. Be honourable, be careful about data protection, do not quote individuals. The statutory and common law and contract law, all things are very, very changing in not just online, not just in your communities in the United Kingdom, but a bigger picture. Just be careful, be lawful, be factual, that you can back things up if you need to, God forbid if you need to, and trust in your instincts, because despite you have illnesses or disabilities, ill health, you are very powerful individuals. You have a soul, your intellect. And despite my own situation, I know I'll get there eventually, despite the negativity, what's always happening around me by others, not by I. And I know what is the requirements are. But until I get that full disclosure in writing of full requirements and how, not just like offer a meeting, but in writing in advance, then you can't respond to any assumption or offer, whatever it may be, your situation you're going through, because you haven't got any backup documentation evidence being provided. So there is non-full disclosure of goods and services, so in contract law it's null and void. So certain individuals need to get their finger out and be honourable. Until that is, one's still in the same situation. I am not doing anything, nor is my private eye friends but I know others behind the scenes are doing this in ways that are deliberate and it's unlawful. So you just use their system, and also to try and get a remedy, which doesn't always happen, and aim yourself with knowledge when you get a good day, that is, if you're able to.